Alright, this is gonna be a little different. Instead of writing an actual human script, I'm just gonna give it to you straight how I killed Shockjaw Nezaga in Dauntless Trials, and the build I used for it. This is probably the hardest fight I've ever had, mostly because you've got a lot going on. You've got orbs flying at you from all directions, frost pillars that can insta-give you or pretty much destroy your run, as well as tremors that will also flatten the fuck out of you. Not to mention that if you get hit by any of these, or just Nezaga's attacks in general, you'll die. They'll kill you. With all of that horrifying information in mind, I've decided to front load my build with a ton of damage, and use a weapon that gives me as much mobility and flexibility as possible. Repeaters are great for this since they don't really require too much stamina to reposition, and are just generally not stamina intensive at all. They also deal some pretty consistent damage and allow for you to stay mobile while dishing out your damage, unlike any other weapon. Because of this, they deal with pretty much all of the environmental hazards pretty well, allowing for you to evade everything as long as you've got some decent reflexes. One thing you do want to train yourself to avoid though is reloading when Nezaga is about to attack. That sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Normally it would be, but you've got so much shit to worry about already, on top of trying to manage doing some good DPS. The best way to train yourself is to run the normal trial, and just focus on manually reloading at opportune times, like right after Nezaga attacks, or just any other big opening that presents itself. Another big thing to consider is what potions you bring. For the run I cleared, I decided to bring along an Ironhide Pylon and a Bulwark Tonic. Though the Pylon was pretty much unnecessary and the Bulwarks provided enough protection for me to not get wrecked instantly. The tonics I'd actually recommend running for this fight are Blitz, Frenzy, and Aether Drive tonics. The bonuses from Blitz and Frenzy tonics are really strong, but if you're not comfortable with the fight, you can bring Bulwark tonics over Aether Drive tonics. But here's the real kicker. The hardest part of this fight, hands down, is dealing with the tremors. He'll do his tremors whenever he performs like a slam type attack, like smacking his fist into the ground or flopping on the ground, meaning you'll have to be ready to potentially double roll to avoid the attack. Even scarier though is that if he's Aether charged and he does a slide attack, they'll spawn tremors. And they're really hard to dodge. You have to be like pretty much pinpoint accurate with your dodges to not get hit by this attack. But with all that fun stuff out of the way, let me quickly go over the build. Since you're not really looking to up your defense, you want to go for as much damage as humanly possible, using gear pieces that can help you get some nasty damage perks. My repeater loadout uses the Sylvan Barrel for extra damage, Salvo Chamber, Captain's Grip, Searing Prism, and Tactician's Magazine. Unfortunately, you can't get Tactician's Magazine at the moment, but it's the best in slot choice for repeaters. For the moment, you can use Lucky Mag and snag Tactician's Magazine when Lady Luck opens up her shop again. For my cells, Etheric Attunement and Conduit are a match made in heaven, giving me a ton of attack speed from constantly spamming my lantern, and reducing the tap cooldown of my lantern by a ton. Molten is one of the best cells for the fight, since it not only gives you a ton of attack speed, but it also gives you a ton of movement speed, helping you bob and weave through the orbs and frost pillars. Predator and Berserker are your main sources of damage, since if you get hit, you're probably dead anyways, so losing Predator on hit isn't your biggest concern, the concern is to not get hit at all. Berserker is also currently unavailable, so you can substitute it with either Evasive Fury or Cunning, depending on what you prefer. I use the Embermane Lantern on top of all this for some big attack speed, and the additional damage from the orb it creates. This is probably the best in slot build for practical purposes, though you could maybe squeeze in more damage with some really well placed full bore shots. The main problem I have with full bore chamber is that it yeets you back to Narnia, so I tend to avoid using it. And really, that's it. Everything else is a matter of skill, strong focus, and a pinch of luck. Hopefully with this advice, you might clear it or even place top 100. This run I ended up getting a time of like 412, which isn't that great, but it managed to put me at what, number 11 I think on the solo leaderboards, which is not bad since this was my like second attempt at running solos. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe for more of my content, and follow me on Twitter to keep up to date with my shenanigans. Twitter is also where I've got my new upload schedule posted, so keep an eye out for that. Also, check out my dummy thick boys RevvyRad, OhDough, and Jow for their quality content. They're good friends and we've been placing top 5 in groups on the leaderboard together. It's been a lot of fun. Otherwise, take care. Have a good one.